Welcome to our today's tutorial. By the end of this particular tutorial, you should be able to create such kind of a flyer for a church family healing service. So let's keep it going. First of all, we are going to use Adobe Photoshop as the main tool for designing this. So first of all, you click on file and then you go to new. Then ensure that the width is 4 and then the height is also 4. Can we change also the name to be family healing? That is the name of that flyer, family healing. Then make sure that the resolution is 300 and make sure also that the color mode is RGB color. If you want to print it, make sure that it is CMYK color code, and then finally you click on create. Now after it has loaded the main canvas, you can be able to reduce it so that you can be able to see all the four corners of that particular canvas. So after doing that, you go to file. So I've already packaged all the resources that I'm going to use for this tutorial in one folder, and therefore I'll be able to share the same resources in the description area down below. Then after that, you go to file and then you go to place embed. Place embed basically is meant to import an image, so I click on place embed, and then you can see this is the folder that I've created on my desktop that is having family healing resources. So I'll click on the first resource or the first image that I want to import. So that is the first image I'm going to import. Then what I really want is this particular part that is a bit like whitish in color. So I want this part to be at the top, and then I want this part to be at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to right click on that particular image, and then I'm going to flip it vertical so that this part can be at the top and the rest can be at the bottom. And then I can be able to hold the anchor point below there, and then I stretch it so that it can be able to fit the entire canvas. So I want it to fit the entire canvas like that, so that is okay for me. Then after doing that, I click on place, and then after doing that, I want to reduce the visibility of this particular image because I'm going to position more images on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on filter, and then I'm going to click on blur, and then I'm going to Gaussian blur. So Gaussian blur will ensure that this particular image is a little bit invisible, or it's going to reduce in terms of visibility, so that the rest of the text and the images that I'm going to add is not affected in that particular case. Then after doing that, I'll click OK, and then I'll go for the second image. So I'll click on file, and then I'll click on a place embed, and then I'm going to bring this particular image of the lady in this particular canvas. So this is the lady that I want to use in this particular flyer. So once I've placed that particular lady there, I'm going to right click on her, and then I'm going to flip horizontally so that she can be able to face the other side. Why is it so? Because I'm looking at this particular part where I'm going to add some light in this particular side so that he can be able to see as if he's looking in heaven. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to reduce the opacity. So I'm going to layers, and then I'm going to reduce the opacity to around somehow like not that, around 20. Yeah, so I like that way, and then I can be able to push it somehow at the top here. I don't want her to span the entire part, so I just want her to be at this particular point. So 27, 17, maybe I can work with that. 23, let me use 25, and then I can as well be able to add some layer mask, and then I can be able to brush these particular areas, or I can decide to brush these areas so that it doesn't look sharp. So I'm going to brush this area so that that image does not look sharp in the background, so like that. So I'm also going to reduce this part whereby I'm not interested with that other part of that particular image. So the only part I'm interested with is that particular lady. So that is okay for me. I can as well be able to increase so that she somehow stands out. Maybe I can work with 35. Can work with 35. I think 35 is okay for now. Then after doing that, we are going to bring in the logo. That is the only pictures that I want to add in my background. Then after doing that, I'm going to bring in the logo. So I'm going to click on file, and then I go to place embed, and then I'm going to bring in the logo. Why am I bringing in the logo first? Because I want to use some corporate colors for this particular church. So that's why I want to make sure that the logo comes first, so that whatever I'm going to bring in should go or should be in tandem with this particular logo. Then after doing that, I'm going to bring in the rectangle tool. So I'm going to draw the rectangle here, and I want this particular rectangle to appear in a diagonal manner. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to rotate this so that it can be able to fit in a diagonal manner like that. So I'm going to fit this so that it fits within that particular canvas in the diagonal manner like that. Then after fitting that particular rectangle tool, I'm going to go to my layer, and then I'm going to FX, and then I'm going to gradient overlay. So in the gradient overlay, basically I'm going to pick some colors from my logo. I've already used this particular gradient, but if you want to use the same gradient, these are the color codes for the first gradient, for the first color, and this is the gradient for the second color. So if you're interested to use the same colors, you can go ahead and to use the same. So I've already shown you the color codes. Then after doing that, I'm going to bring in the picture of the servant of God. So I'm going to click on file, and then I'm going to place embed, and then I'm going to bring in this picture. This is the picture I want to bring it, and then I'm going to position this picture at this particular point. So you can see the clarity of the picture. I think the picture is clear enough for you to be able to see. I think the picture is clear enough for you to be able to see it clearly. So I'm going to position it at this particular point, so the lady should not be able to reduce the visibility of this picture. This is a picture that I want to stand out in this particular flyer. So I'm going to make sure that I enhance the picture appearance. So I'm going to image, and then I go to adjust, and then I'm going to increase the vibrancy of that picture. So I'm going to use somehow 45 or 49. Let me use 45. I think 45 is okay for now. Then after doing that, I'm going now to add some text into this particular canvas. But before I add this particular maybe add some text, I can be able to add some background on this particular rectangle that I've just added. So this particular part is a little bit more like traditional, or somehow like more like generic. So I want to add some kind of effects at the background so that it doesn't look so sharp. The colors cannot be able to look so sharp in this particular case. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to file again, and then go to place embed, and then I'm going to bring in this particular image. So this image basically is just meant to reduce the brightness or the brightness of those colors that I'm using in that particular case. So I'm going to flip that particular picture or that particular photo horizontally, and then I want to position it diagonally the same way the image is, the same way the rectangle is, so that it fits perfectly at that particular point. So I'm going to bring it a little bit down. What I'm interested with is just to make sure that that particular part stands out. Yeah, so to make sure that that particular part for the breaking, because we are dealing with the inherited wounds, therefore I want to make sure that this particular part is a little bit appearing, the breaking or the dealing in that particular case. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of this to around let me use 15, or even let me use 8. So I don't want it to be shouting, I just want it to be at the background So you can see the way it is. I can add some layer mask, and then I can be able to brush it out so that it doesn't look so sharp at the background. So I'm going to reduce this part. I'm going to reduce this part like that. So after doing that, I'm going to Control J to duplicate this, and then I want to use the same photo at the top here. So I'm going to edit, and then I go to transform, and then I go to flip horizontally, and then after doing that I want to rotate it so that it fits at the top here. I'm going to rotate it like that so that it fits at the top here, so to ensure that that particular image is well positioned at that particular place like that. So that is it. You can see now the sharpness of that particular part has been reduced absolutely. Then after doing that, I just want now to bring in the text. So the first text I want to bring is the join us this Sunday. So I'm going to write here, join us this Sunday. Join us this Sunday. So that is the first text that I want to bring on board, and then I'm going to highlight this text. I go to my font types. And the font that I am intending to use in this particular case is Brush Script. So Brush Script is the one that I want it to appear in that particular part. So I'm going to also place this particular text to be diagonal at this particular point. So I'm going to rotate this text like that so that it fits at the top here, so somebody can be able to read it like that, so that it shows some consistency in my design. So I'm going to make sure that I rotate it a little bit, make sure that it is very okay in that particular case like that. Then after doing that I want to bring in the date when the event will take place. So I'm going to write there 11th. So the event is going to take place in the 11th August 2024. Maybe I can write August in short form, 2024. And then after that I'm going to highlight this text, and then I go to my font types, and then I'm going to use Pop-in. Pop-in is the color or the font type that I'm going to use for this particular case, and then I'm going to say that it is medium italics. Then I hold the control, the left button on my mouse, I drag it at the top, and then after doing that I want it to be center align. So I want it to be center align like that. So this particular part also should stand out a little bit, so I'm going to drag it, or I'm going to stretch it so that it looks so outstanding in that particular case. After doing that I go to my I want to change also the color of this particular text to be white, so white fits well in that particular region like that. And then after that I want to add also the time when the event will take place. So I'm going to draw a line that separates the two. So I'm going to hold the shift key on my keyboard and then the line tool, and then I draw that line there. And then after drawing that I'm going to select the orange color. So I'm going to use the orange color for this particular line. I'm going to use the orange color for this particular line. Then after doing that you are going to use 4 pixels. So I don't want something to be very large, or something very weighty, something very small and tiny but outstanding. Then after doing that I want also to change the caps to be rounded and the corners also to be rounded. After doing that you just click on that particular icon. So I've been able to place that particular line there, and then after doing that you just click on that text, and then you press Ctrl J. Ctrl J is meant for duplicating the layer. So after doing that I'm just going to duplicate the layer, and then I drag it down a little bit, and then I type there 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. So those are we have got 2 sessions in that particular service, and therefore I feel that is the way I can write it in simple terms so that people can be able to understand. So if you can come in the first service, it's okay. If you can come in the second service, it's also fine. Now the next thing that I want to do is now to bring in the theme. The theme here is dealing with inherited wounds. So what I'm going to do is that I want to use different fonts for different parts. So the first part where I'm going to use the different font is the dealing with. So I want to bring in the dealing with. So I click here and then I type there dealing with. So that is the first part that I want to make sure that it stands out. And then I can also press Ctrl J, so I highlight all the text and then I just format once. Inherited. There's also another text that I also want to bring on board. So Ctrl J again, I want to make sure that I bring all this text so that when I start to do that, I just do it once. To style it, I just styled it them once. And then the last text that I also want to bring on board is the and family healing and family healing service, like that. So these are the texts that I'm going to use, and therefore I just want to position it appropriately in this particular case. So the first one I'm going to position it is dealing with. So I'm going to highlight dealing with, and then I go to my font types, and then I want to use quick keys personal use. So this is one of the font I'll share in the description section, so you can be able to hold the anchor point, and then I can be able to stretch it a little bit so that it can be able to stand out. So I'm going to stretch it again up to that point, like that. Then after doing that, I'm going to change the color. I want to use a color that stands out, so I'm going to change the color to orange from my logo. So from my logo, I'm going to use that color. So you can see somehow it is not standing out. I can be able to add some kind of effects on it. I'm going to add the outer glow. Outer glow is just meant to make sure that it stands out in that particular background. I think that is okay for now. Then after doing that, I'm also going to highlight the word inherited, and then I go to my font type, and then I go to Acrobat. So I'm going to use this sans serif font called Acrobat, and then I'm going to go to black, because it's like something like an headline or something like a sub headline, so it must make sure that it stands out. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to use black, and then I'm going to make sure that I make it big enough to be visible to any social media handle where I'm going to share this particular flyer after designing. So I want it to stand out, so I make sure that it is big enough. So you can see at that particular point, I think it is it is okay. So I'm going to highlight it, and also I'm going to change the color. So the color, I'm going to pick it at from this point. So I don't want it to be so much like the exactly white, but I think I can use that color. I think the hexa code is here, so you can be able to use the same hexa code. So I'm going to use that color. And then after that, I'm also going to highlight the wounds, and then I'm going to use the same font color. So I'm going to use the same font color for this, like that. And then I can also be able to stretch it so that it can be able to cover at least up to that point. So what I'm interested with is to make sure that I leave some space for the family healing service. That is what I want it to fit in this particular region. That's why I've decided to position the wound at this particular right hand side, so that I leave some space for that for this text. So I'm going to highlight the wounds, and I'm going to apply the same color up to this. So I'm going to apply that, and then after doing that, the next thing to do is to bring in now the family healing service. The family healing service, I want to use Poppin. Poppin is one of the font type that you can be able to download and use it. So I'm going to change it to medium. So what I'm going to it's just like a tag to show you that this is our family healing service. So I'm going to reduce it so that it fits in this particular area. Alternatively, I can decide to bring healing down, so that at the top here we have just family. So I can have family at the top, and then this particular part I can have the healing, like that. like that. So that text, I think it is well aligned at that particular position. And then I'm also going to change the font for this particular text to be white, or maybe I can use a different color like that if possible. Yes, I think that is okay. You can use the same color for the same. Then after doing that, I'm going to bring in now the title for the servant of God. I think that is also okay. So I bring it here with. So with, I'm going to highlight also this text, and then I'm going to say I'm going to use font type called Taken. Taken is one of the font type that we are using for this particular flyer. So I'm going to make sure that that particular word with stands out. So I'm going to make sure that it is there, and then I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to use the white color. So I'm interested with the white color for this case. So like that. So you can also be able to add some kind of drop shadow to this title so that it stands out. So I'm going to click on inherit, and then I'm going to effects, and then I'm going to say drop shadow. So I want to add some drop shadow in that particular text, so you can see how the drop shadow can be able to fit very well. So you can see the settings are here, 4, 13 and then 25. So you can be able to apply the same. If you're interested, I can also be able to apply the drop shadow in this particular case, the drop shadow here. So that is it. You can see how it stands out very well in this particular case. Now we want to bring in the name of the speaker or the keynote speaker. So I want to press the name inside the rectangle tool. So I'm going to draw a rectangle tool here. I'm going to draw the rectangle tool here, and then this rectangle tool, I want it to be rounded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, and then I write there 50, so that it can be able to be all round. It is linked, all these corners are linked. Therefore, if I write 50 here, it is going to be adjusted in all areas of that particular rectangle. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that that particular part is large enough, or large enough for it to be able to accommodate the text that I want to add in that particular location. So I'm going to make sure that I stretch it a little bit like that, so that it can be able to accommodate the text that I want to write. Now after doing that, I want to click on this, and then I just Control J, and then I can be able to pull it down here. And then after doing that, I want to change it to Apostle Luke Rema. So that is the text that I want to use in that particular location. And then I can also be able to maybe say that this one should be semi-bold. Semi-bold, I think is okay. And then I want to make sure that this text is also white or whitish in color, but it is appearing at the bottom of that particular text. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull it up to the top like that. So it should appear at the top of that particular text, that particular rectangle, but it is a little bit not visible. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the color for that particular rectangle. I'm going to change the color for that particular rectangle like that. So you can see up to that point, I think the text is well understood, is well visible enough in this particular case like that. Alternatively, even you can use the background color like this, so that it means that you are trying to make sure that this particular flyer remain consistent in all areas. So you can use that color also to ensure that this particular flyer remain consistent. After doing that, the next thing to do is to add the location. So I'm going to File, and then Place Embed, and then I'm going to my folder. I'm going to my folder, and then I'm going to my to ensure that I get that particular location icon. So I'm going to add the location icon. So I think I can reduce it a little bit, and then I can be able to drag it at this particular point like that. Then after that, I'm going to write there Burumba meters along, 200 meters along Map Clinic Road. So that is the description for that church. So I'm going to highlight this text, and then I right align it, and then I also want to reduce the size. So I'm going to hold one of the anchor points, and then I reduce the size up to that particular point so that it can be able to fit in this particular location. So I'm going to reduce that again up to that point. Or alternatively, I can also be able to drag it a little bit down up to that particular point, and then I can also be able to enlarge it. Yeah, I think up to that location is okay. And then I can also be able to make this particular location icon a little bit bigger so that it stands out like that. I think that is very much okay. So I can be able to drag it a little bit down there so that it does not necessarily, I think that is okay up to that particular point. And then I can also be able to drag this text at the top here like that. That is okay. Then after doing that, I'm going to click on the last thing that I want to add in this particular flyer is the streaming live. So I'm going to add that text here, streaming live. Then I highlight this text, and then I go to brush script, and then I click on it, and then I'm going to change the color to be red in color. So I want that part to be red in color, and then I can be able to drag it a little bit so that it can be big enough to be visible. So I can be able to make it visible up to that particular point. I think that is okay. Then after doing that, I'm going to bring in now the Facebook Live icon. So I'm going to the Facebook Live icon. So I want to bring in the Facebook Live icon. So here we have the Facebook Live icon. So I click on it, and then I also want to reduce it so that it can be able to occupy that part down there. So I'm going to reduce it so that it can be able to occupy that part down here like that. Then after doing that, you just click on the text tool, and then I want to write some text down here and add High Life Ministries, at High Life Ministries, and then I highlight this text, and then I'm going to use pop-in medium. So that is the text that I'm going to use there, but I can also be able to highlight it, and then I go to make it black like that. So I can use that part to be black, and also be able to ensure that that text appears at that particular point there. Good. Now the last thing that we want to add, the last thing that I just want to add is some triangle at the bottom there. So I can be able to make it a little bit big so that it can be visible. This part is supposed not to be left blank. So I'm going to add some text, a triangle tool. So in order for you to create a triangle, basically you bring the rectangle tool. You bring in the rectangle tool like that, and then you click here on the fill color, and then you click on this particular icon, and then you can go to pick a color from our rectangle that we have been using at the top there. And then after doing that, you just click on the pen tool, and then you click on this anchor point. So this anchor point, when you click on it, is going to remove that anchor point. So you click yes, and then you can see I've been able to create that rectangle, a triangle. I've already created that triangle at the corner there. So that's how you simply be able to create that triangle in this particular case. After doing that, the only thing I want to add, the last thing, is to just add some effects in this particular flyer so that it can be able to stand out. So the first effect I'm going to add is some effect on that particular lady at the background. So I want to add some kind of lens flare so that she can be able to stand out in this case. So what I'm going to do, I click on file and then I go to place embed, and then I go to that particular folder of mine, family healing folder, and then I want to carry this particular lens flare and I want to position it at the top of her head, there at the top of her head here. I think that is the best place to position it here. So that is okay. And then I go to layer and then I want to change that to screen. So it appears that there's some light that is coming in on the other side. Then also the same thing I want to apply at this particular end. So I'm going to also duplicate the same layer, and then I want to bring that particular effect this particular side also, but this particular effect this time round I want it to appear below the rectangle. So I'm going to position it below that rectangle to show that there's some light that is coming in from the other side. So I want to position it below the rectangle like that. So that is okay. I think that is very much okay up to that particular point, so that it appears as if there is some kind of lens, some kind of light that is coming on the other side. I can also be able to, I think 100 is okay for this particular case. I can also be able to copy the same lens flare, and then I want to add maybe on this particular part, but in this particular case I want now to reduce the opacity. I don't want it to be so much shouting. I just want to make sure that that particular part, that cheek, at her cheek, is a little bit illuminated like that. I think that is okay up to that particular point. And then after that I just want to add the last lens flare in between this particular text here, so I can also be able to reduce the opacity up to that particular point. I think that is okay. I think that is very much okay. I think that is very much okay up to that particular point. Now the last thing that I want to do as I wrap up this particular tutorial is just to add the curves. So the curves is just meant to reduce the brightness of that particular flyer, so that does not affect. Up to that particular point I like it the way it appears, because now you can see everything is standing out. Everything is now standing out, so you can be able to have it at that particular point, and then you have your flyer ready for circulation. Thank you so much for listening, and also you can be able to click on the subscribe button for you to support me, and also be able to click on the like and the notification button so that you'll be informed when I go live next. Thank you so much. Bye bye.